So we're just going to get started with a few introductions. So my name is Kathleen Clancy. I am the SummerWorks program manager, and there's also several other staff on the call today that you are going to hear from. So Armika, I'll pass it over to you to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Kathleen. I'm Armika Ritchie. Really happy to be here today. I am the SummerWorks program coordinator, and I am probably the newest member of the SummerWorks team. So I'm fairly new. I haven't seen the summer unfold completely yet, but I'm here to share the information that I have with you about the employment and the mentorship. So I look forward to interacting with everybody today. Who else do we have? Jordan?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm happy to jump in. My name is Jordan Fisher. I am the SummerWorks Evaluation Fellow. So I've been here for a couple of years in different capacities, but I work in kind of the surveillance part now. But I'm excited to be here and meet you all and tell you more about SummerWorks. And I will pass it to Tabitha.
Hi, everyone. I am Tabitha. I am a GSRA for SummerWorks. And last summer, I was actually one of the success coaches working directly with young adults as well as the employers and mentors. So I'm really happy to see some familiar faces as well as some new faces and get a great summer kicked off.
Awesome. So we are going to start with just a quick icebreaker and introduction to everyone else on the call. So Armika, you want to go ahead and get that going?
Yeah, happy to. So then, let's see, for an icebreaker today, we have an easy one. If you want to, there's a lot of us, we'll go ahead and put in the chat if you're able, your name. Thank you, Kathleen, with the assist. Your name, your pronouns, what organization or business you're with, and what was your first job. And if you want to add one, I like to have a one that's not really relevant, but if you want to add one, you can put what Oscar nominated film you recommend. That one's a playful one.
All right. Hi, Sandy.
Nice.
We have Taco Bell, orthodontist assistant.
Oh, these are fun.
Ice cream store, amusement park. Ooh. The anime, that's fun.
Whoops.
Dairy Queen.
Let me do mine here.
Store clerk. Babysitter, yeah, me too. McDonald's. Ooh, the Renaissance Fair, Laura, that's really fun. All right, well, while we are taking a minute to look at those, I just want to thank everyone for being here this morning and taking time to learn more about our program. So just a quick overview. We are going to talk a little bit about just the overall program logistics and kind of what we're all about. And then we will be splitting off into breakout rooms, whether you're interested in being an employer or a mentor. If you are interested in both, we recommend you attend the employer breakout room. And then you'll hear some key dates and we'll have some times for wrap up and questions at the end. And we will be sure to follow up after this session with the slides and as well as a recording once it's ready if you want to share it with others. So to get us started, I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of SummerWorks. And so we started in 2016, and we are a partnership between Michigan Works Southeast and the Washtenaw County Office of Community Economic Development. And they started in 2016. And then in 2017, U of M came on board through Poverty Solutions to offer more opportunities on campus in terms of employment opportunities, as well as expanding access to higher education and exposure to it for young adults in Washtenaw County. And so our age group, our demographic that we work with are ages 16 to 24. And to be eligible for the program, you have to live or attend school in Washtenaw County. And jobs and internships are located either at U of M or at other local businesses, local organizations all throughout Washtenaw County. And so what this looks like, kind of why we are here, we are really focused on summer youth employment. There's large disparities in education and economic outcomes for young adults depending on where they live. And so we're really trying to focus on reducing structural barriers when it comes to workforce development and trying to provide job access and resources to those young adults in our community. And so we offer the opportunity to build networks, develop leadership skills, and obviously professional experiences. And we want to prepare young people for their future careers and next steps. And so to tell us a little bit from the young adult perspective of what that looks like, I'm going to pass it over to Tabitha.
Thank you, Kathleen. So now we're just going to talk a little bit about what the program looks like from the young adult perspective. So generally the program lasts up through April all the way through August, with the employment starting in June. We do have more specific dates, but don't want to bombard you with information, but we'll make sure those stay available for you at the end of the session as well as throughout the summer. But our program has 4 main components. So first, we have ongoing professional development and support. We meet weekly with program staff, career advisors, and success coaches, the youth do that is, and we go over weekly different aspects of professional development and provide support to the young adults as they're going through the program, through their internship, mentorship, and developing those professional development skills. And we will have that professional development curriculum available to you all as soon as possible. That way, mentors as well as employers can go ahead and see just what the young adults are learning and what skills they're developing, not only in their internships and mentorship relationships, but as well as with us in those professional development settings. And then we have, of course, the internship component for our summer youth employment program. That's going to last through June all the way to August. And then every young adult's internships look a little different, but overall the goal is to have an internship for every single young adult in our program. And there are some exceptions for young adults who do not have internships, but for the most part, everyone should at least have the opportunity to have an internship. That's, of course, our goal. And then in addition to that internship, we have an explicit mentorship component, which will look a little bit different this summer compared to previous summers, but the mentorship breakout rooms will go more in depth with that. We're happy to answer questions. And then additionally, we're trying to help the young adults build a professional portfolio so they have a concrete deliverable they can take away from us and further develop their professional development skills and networking after they leave the program. And in those program deliverables for tracks 1 and 2, we include mock interviews, executive summaries or resumes, the Cooter Journey Career Exploration, a LinkedIn profile, and attend those mentorship meetings. Again, we're just trying to bolster the young adults' learning and development in these professional ways, as well as give them something they can physically take from the program. All right, I'm going to go to the next slide. So now we're going to talk a little bit about some of our partners. So we're really, really proud to host a really diverse group of young adults. And as part of that, we really take it seriously, providing a really accessible program with as many resources as possible for young adults. And part of that is our partnership with Michigan Rehabilitation Services. So they just make our program more inclusive and support individuals with disabilities. And they provide a whole host of services. MRS, they help students, mentors, and employers with confidential confidential consultations, disability education, and reasonable accommodations. And typically, as employers or mentors, you would be navigating these resources directly through us. So no worries if this is something you're not as familiar with or just don't have as much experience with. This is something that the success coaches and program staff are more than happy to help you navigate through.
All right, well, thank you, Tabitha. And so right now, we are going to shift to the breakout rooms. So I'm going to open them up. So again, if you are interested in being an employer, please go to the employer room. And if you're interested in being a mentor, go to the mentor room. If you are interested in both, please go to the employer session because you will get a little bit more information there in terms of some logistics. All right. So hi, everyone. It is great to have you all here as potential employers. So I'm just gonna go ahead and can everyone hear me okay? All right, perfect. And so just, right off the bat, just kind of want to get some logistics out there because I know you all are here for information. And so what that looks like from employers. So if you are a potential employer, if you become an employer for SummerWorks, you will employ a young adult for at least 20 hours a week. And so what that looks like is in the employment period, which is June 12th through August 18th specifically. And so interns spend a minimum of 20 hours a week working. So 16 of those would be working with their employer. But then we also ask that employers give time and funding, if possible, for the young adults to attend professional development trainings on Fridays with our SummerWorks staff. And so this is a time for them to be focused on building skills so that they are prepared and doing the best job that they possibly can working with your organization or department. And so from the beginning of the program, we do have an orientation for employers to kind of go over details and what is expected of employers. And then we do have an interview event. And so this will be a chance for you to meet with candidates. And so typically they are short interviews. And this will be taking place on May 9th. We are switching back to a in-person interview event. So it's going to be in the evening at WCC. We're still confirming the exact timings, but we're thinking between 6 and 8 p.m. If you are unable to come in person, we will have a virtual alternative option, but we really want to encourage you to come meet the young adults in person, give them that interview experience, and also it's a chance for you to meet other employers that are a part of the program, meet our staff, and a really great networking event as well. And so kind of a little bit more details about the compensation. If you have been in the part of the program in the past, a big change this year is our compensation rate. So we have raised it particularly to keep pace with a lot of minimum wages within Ann Arbor specifically. So it's 15 or 17 an hour depending on high school graduation status, which 20 hours a week for 10 weeks equals about 3,000 to 3,400 over the course of a summer. But if you aren't able to pay at this rate, we do have some funding available to help subsidize that cost. And so if you're interested in that, just, indicate that, when you apply, that you're interested in being considered for funding. And so now hopefully we got some logistics out of the way. And again, we will have some time for questions at the end. But I wanted to turn it over to Tabitha to introduce our guest speaker.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kathleen. So we can only drone at you all so much about program logistics and what it looks like, but we think it's much better to hear from an actual employee who's worked with us for a couple of years and just to get their experience and give a platform for you all to ask any questions directly to our wonderful employers. So without further ado, we have Cara, who is so wonderful in being able to speak to you all today. So Cara works for Social Good Promotions, and she's been with us for a few years now in hosting interns. So Cara, go ahead and come off mute and
Hi, can everybody hear me? Hi, thank you for joining this morning. This is really exciting to see some new faces. Like Tabitha said, my name is Kara Keister. I am with Social Good Promotions. We are a promotional products distributor based out of Brighton, Michigan. We were actually introduced to the SummerWorks program through a friend of Roger's, who was a friend back in the day when he attended U of M. We actually built our entire business around the idea that we would bring young, fun, diverse talent into a dinosaur of an industry. And we've actually, because of the SummerWorks program, we've been recognized for that. And it's been really exciting. This is our now 4th summer with the program. And we have actually been able to keep our first year 2020 interns. They have come back on with us as part-time employees repeatedly throughout their college breaks. And in fact, we have 2 of them joining us again this summer. So we just keep growing the little tribe here. So
That's awesome. And so, Kara, we do have some questions prepared for you if needed, but I did want to give the other participants in the room a chance if anyone has any specific questions or wants to ask Kara about her experience being an employer. I'll just open up the floor.
I do want to note too, this might help kind of spur questions. Our business is actually developed as a fully remote business. We all are 100% work from home. So our interns are the same, and that worked for us during the pandemic in our favor. We have now found that as some are wanting to go back into the office, it's been a little tricky to navigate, but we've still found really great talent through the program that is willing to work on their own as self-starters in a virtual environment.
Tabitha, you want to go through some of the questions?
yeah, absolutely. So trying to go through what you've already touched on. So thinking back to when you first started the program and you were a new employer, what were some of your initial concerns or worries when signing up?
All of them. I had all of the concerns. No. So first and foremost, we were a very young business. My partner and I have been in the industry collectively somewhere around the 45-year mark. But in reality, the business Social Good Promotions was incorporated in January 2019. So when we decided to do this, we were just a year old. These were our first employees. So it was really important to us that we had all of our ducks in a row. So it meant employee handbook, it meant onboarding processing, it meant technology. We also were doing this in the middle of a pandemic. So it was a little wild to navigate. So definite concerns. And every year, to be honest with you, every year I have the same set of, are we capable of doing this again? Are we able to cultivate the right talent? Last year, in fact, we had 2 interns that actually did not fit our initial request, but they wanted to work for us. So we were able to develop roles for them that were meaningful to them. So, it pushes us as much as it pushes the young employees that are coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you. And just thinking about not just the concerns you had in the beginning, but every year when you come back, can you speak to how you kind of navigate that, or what tools that you found have been useful to do that?
Sure, sure. Every year we develop a job description and we tweak that job description. Every year we're not asking for the exact same intern. We love to have somebody that kind of fits the sales mold. We love to have someone that kind of sort of fits that marketing, more social media kind of role. That doesn't always happen. And that's okay. What we have been able to do is be fluid and make sure that we're developing a role that is suitable to that employee or that intern. For instance, last year, Alexis, who was incredible and actually helped us develop a program we didn't even know that we needed, she wanted to go to nursing school. Nursing school and selling promotional products makes no sense to me. But after I interviewed with her, she explained why she was drawn to our company, what her goals were, how she wanted to be able to work in an office from front to back. And this was the opportunity that she had. I said, okay, I get it. Let's do it. And what she did all summer is she actually developed a virtual assistant role for us. So she wrote the handbook on virtual assistants for our business, which we now use to hire virtual assistants.
Wonderful. It's great to hear how you were able to kind of pivot on your feet and meet the intern where they were at and actually have it benefit the work that you were doing so explicitly. So thank you for sharing that. And then, so as someone who was working directly with the interns, how do you engage in mentorship with your interns, specifically in that virtual work from home space?
I love it. First off, I absolutely love it. I love everyone's personality. I like to see how everyone opens up throughout the year. Like I said, we are natural born salespeople. That's what we are, and that's how we came into this world of promotional products and networking and all of this marketing loveliness. So I suppose we start with the basics. We start with the way that we operate as a business. So every Monday we have a powwow. Everyone is in the meeting room together. We all talk about our weekends. We share kind of our ups and our downs from the week prior. We share our sales numbers. We share our goals for the week. And we make sure that everyone participates that. And it's not just a, you have to show up because you have to show up kind of meeting. And then immediately following, we have half-hour increments where we set up individual meetings with each member of the staff to discuss their individual goals as well as their accomplishments that they will be meeting by the end of the week. Schedules, things like that. We touch base with them throughout the week to make sure, do you have questions? Are there, hiccups? Is there more that we can provide you? All of that, we touch base with them usually 2 to 3 times a week. And then it's always very quickly. And we like everyone to kind of have their self-starter and run their own kind of schedule. And then on Fridays when we meet, it's the same thing. We require it, everyone shows, but it's also in your pajamas typically at 9 a.m. and everyone has their coffee and we're all talking about, did we meet this goal? Did we not meet this goal? You have all day to hit XYZ. What can we do to support you to do that? Sadatu is done with her goal. Can we meet? Sadatu, can you jump in and help RJ finish what he needs to finish? So while it is virtual, it's very connected. Mm-hmm. And, that's kind of our biggest thing is that everyone, including each other, we want them to connect with each other and work with each other.
Absolutely. And it sounds like having that foundational structure of when you're meeting, what you're discussing, and having it be a priority for all staff members, and then being able to adjust within that structure has been really beneficial.
And we talk a lot about just basics. We're so appreciative of what SummerWorks does to prepare these young individuals for these roles, but we do still talk about basics. use your calendar. Can I show you how to do this on LinkedIn? Let's actually go through your profile and make sure that it is relevant and up to date. And, you know, we're working this, the calendar thing. I can't stress that enough. We have to teach everyone how to use their calendar. So,
Absolutely.
you know, you're in, especially in a virtual environment, you're solely responsible for your own success based on the way that you are able to manage your time. So it's really important to us that we instill that in our interns from the beginning.
Absolutely. And just,
Tabitha,
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna pause and see if anyone had any questions for Kara now that she's talked a little more and shared, maybe put some thoughts out there. Okay, just wanted to check.
Kathleen, I think Christine just came off mute.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't quite see everyone, so.
Yeah, thank you, Tabitha. I was just going to say I do have some questions. I'm not sure that they're necessarily directed at Kara from the employer's perspective, but more just insight into the program itself. And so I don't know if this is the appropriate time to ask or if we should wait until later.
You can go ahead and if it's not for Kara, Tabitha and I can answer too.
Okay, great. Yeah, so, you know, Kara's talking about a remote work environment. Our environment is in person. We're actually a manufacturing environment. And so I just wanted to kind of understand if that is something that is supported now that the pandemic is kind of in its, hopefully, end stages.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely. We have, I would say that most of our internships are in person and fully in person. And Kara's is a unique situation, and we're very happy to have her on board as well. But we definitely do in-person internships as well.
Okay, fantastic. And then on the initial slide that you had, you indicated employment of at least 20 hours a week. So if we were looking for someone on a full-time basis, that would also be an option, allowing for that 4-hour Friday training session.
Yes. So you can go over the 20 hours a week. We just ask that, you know, you have the funds to cover that. It's kind of just, it's a minimum of 20 hours a week, but if you wanted to do, you know, up to 40, that is definitely okay as well.
Okay, great. And then just, I guess, about the program in general, like how many students do you typically have in the program? How many are employed over the course of a summer? And like how big is the pool? And some just general questions, I guess, around that.
Yeah. So this year, our goal is to start the program with between 125 and 150 young adults. So we're hoping to get, you know, up to 100 internships. And then, but all of those, the 125, 150 young adults are applying and interested. And we do have some young adults like drop off if they have other opportunities or they aren't quite interested in the internship options, which does happen. But we really try to match everyone who wants an internship with one. So it is a pretty big pool of candidates. Depending on the type of job, we do tend to skew on the younger side of 16 to 18. So if you're the type of organization that you can only hire 18 and up, that does limit the candidates slightly, but we definitely still have young adults in the program between 18 and 24 that are, you know, looking for employment experiences. And so last year, we started the program with 100 young adults, and we had 75 complete internships.
Okay, thank you. And then I guess just one more question in terms of kind of the age that the group kind of skews towards. You know, obviously, if an individual is still in high school, they're looking to finish their degree before they would pursue a full-time opportunity. Are those who are older generally looking to have this turn into a full-time kind of long-term relationship, or do you find that it's more about the experience and they're you know, interested generally just for the summer?
So we do have a mix. Some of our young adults are enrolled in post-secondary education, and so typically they're looking for something in the summer, and then they do go back to like being full-time students in the fall. But we do have a lot of, students who are working and in school, obviously. And so it would just kind of depend on like the flexibility of the scheduling, I think. But we do have young adults who aren't enrolled in post-secondary education. I would say that number is definitely smaller, but we have a handful that are looking for full-time employment post the summer as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I didn't mean to hijack things there.
No, those are very important questions, so thank you.
I have a question about the funding. I know that they mentioned earlier that funding is available to help subsidize just the hourly rate or the wages. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have a funding pool that we can use. So we take applications and then we let employers know if their internships will be funded or not. So we kind of collect the information from everyone before we make any decisions. But we have like different types of funding. So we do have funding, like, say you can only pay at $10 an hour. We can make up the difference for that. But we also have, like, for example, if you are a nonprofit or have extremely limited funding, we do have some opportunities to fully fund internships as well. And then it does also, not to overly complicate things, but it depends on some young adults, like backgrounds based on what funding they're available for. So because we work through Michigan Works, we do have the ability to receive federal funding through the Workforce Innovation Act, but a young person has to be income eligible. And then we also have some funding through the LDFA in Ypsilanti, the local finance development authority, specifically for young people that live in Ypsilanti. And so if you're paired with someone who meets those requirements, you have the potential to receive funding for the internship as well. So we try to make matches with those considerations as well if you are someone who needs funding.
Yeah, I think we would need it. Can we get the information on it so we could read it and see if we could consider someone from that criteria?
Yeah, and Christine, can you remind me which organization you're with?
I'm with Emergency Medicine.
Okay. Yeah, I will be sure to send that over to you.
Because initially we were looking for a work study student only because of our funding at this point, and that totally funded through I think the Department of Education or something like that. We had a work study student last semester and she graduated. So now, well, we had her for 2 semesters. So now we need someone to replace them. Okay. Thank you. Is there a limit to how much you can receive each 10 weeks? Or is it just in the summer? Is there a limit to how much you can receive for that time frame?
So in terms of if you request a fully funded internship, we would just, we would let you know in early April if you received the funding or not, and then you would let us know if you receive the funding, you'll participate, and if for some reason we can only receive partial fundings, we would let you know, and then you can decide yes or no if I want to participate. And Sandy, I see you. I'll write down preschool, foundations preschool as well.
And this is only for the week period of the 10 weeks.
Yes, okay. For the summer program. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Good morning. I have a question as well.
Morning.
My question is, given the new policies and procedures due to COVID, are these interns, do they have to have shots?
Yep. So if they are employed through U of M, that is a requirement and we let them know that. And so we do have some candidates who aren't vaccinated, and then we kind of let them know to self-select internship opportunities that are outside of U of M, or some county employers also have the requirement. So we just tend to highlight ones that may not have a vaccine requirement, but we do let the young adults know, if you want to be working within the university, you have to be vaccinated.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to transition back to our slides here. And Kara, if you want to go ahead and just, I know you you know all this information, so if you want to sign off, we really appreciate you being here today. And thanks for taking the time to talk about your experience.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Excited to see some new employers in the mix.
Yeah. All right. And so we've kind of talked a little bit about this already, but I just wanted to kind of echo that, it doesn't exactly matter what type of work experience that you're offering, but really what we're trying to do is create a positive work experience for young people. It may be, their first job experience. And so we really want to open the doors in terms of creating a supportive network. And a lot of that does come from SummerWorks staff and our work with young adults. But really anyone can be an employer as long as you have a supervisor who's willing to work closely, and be a supportive mentor for young adults. And so while the program offers mentorship outside of employers, employers also act as mentors. And so if you are interested in being an employer, you can think about, what you have to offer in terms of how you might support a young person in your department and what they might need to know and how you might work with them. And so each year our youth really provide feedback that they've had really positive experiences, and most of that is because of our employers, and they really enjoy the work that they do and the relationships that they get to build. And so just, also thinking about our community as a whole of Washtenaw County, we do have a lot of resources in Washtenaw County, and through SummerWorks, we do our best to connect young adults to as many resources as possible and increase their self-sufficiency. And while having SummerWorks help is great, we'd like to also, have employers think about, what resources that you might know for young people, and also continue to refer them to different experiences that you might think that be helpful for their growth. And we provide resources as well on how to do this. But just like some examples that we've had in the past of, if you're bringing on a new employee, creating a goal plan, like what skills are they hoping to build, and thinking about, how they're going to make that happen over the course of the summer. You can also thinking about helping them network if you have different job shadowing opportunities and connecting youth to their specific interests if it isn't exactly what they'll be doing with you. But just, overall, thinking about ways to be an encouraging support person. And that's really what we're asking of you as employers. And to kind of go off that, I'm going to turn it over to Tabitha to talk about what SummerWorks has to offer.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kathleen. So you as employers provide so much to this program, and we want to make participation as accessible and enjoyable for you all as possible. And part of that is providing as much support as we can. So our first line of support we have are success coaches and career advisors. And I'm not just saying that because I will be a success coach, but basically we divide all of our young adults into cohorts so they can get individualized attention and have their needs met. And so when you're assigned a youth intern, they will come with a success coach or a career advisor. And these are recent graduates graduates or people embedded in Michigan Works who are just there to support the young adults as they navigate their internships and just the rest of the summer program. So they help navigate really any sort of problems or even successes that might arise, and also just answer questions for the youth and for you as well. And as employers, we do require a one-on-one check-in with your intern's career advisor or a success coach, just to measure how that youth is doing and to make sure that you, as their employer, don't need any support from us. Because again, we want to make supporting in this program as easy as possible. We want everyone, not just our adults, to have a really great experience. So that's a real, oh, go ahead, Kathleen.
I was just gonna say, and that happens like halfway through the summer. And we really just want to ensure that, you know, you're getting what you need from the young adult, and that you're having a positive experience, and that, you know, we have a check-in to make sure that, you know, you're getting what you need as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kathleen. And there are, in all of our success coaches and career advisors do have standing appointment slots or office hours that we just try to stay available. So if you needed support before or after that one-on-one check-in, we try and stay as accessible to you all as possible. So that's our more active hands-on support. We do have some forms of passive support as well. You all are so busy and we don't want to overload you with things, but we want to make sure those resources, again, are just always readily available. And so first we have bi-weekly newsletters. These contain just a lot of programmatic information, updates, announcements, and in addition to that, just kind of an update as to what the youth are learning in their professional development spaces, and guides to the curriculum, as well as resources for you to do activities with your youth that are relevant to the professional development experiences they're having with us. So again, just a resource that's always available to you all that we send out bi-weekly. And we also have our mentoring guide that we keep handy, and it's hyperlinked here in the chat. I'm not sure if you wanted to, there it is. So it's, Kathleen dropped a link. This is just, again, something that we published last year, and it's available as a resource to both mentors and employers, because we really like to stress that as our employers, you're mentoring and guiding these youth through this summer program as well. But it is optional, and it's not meant to be prescriptive. It's just another resource for you to use if you need. Again, we touched on one-on-one check-ins, but as you can imagine, HR and hiring support, that can be really, really crucial in onboarding your youth as soon as possible. As soon as the program starts, we blink and it's over. So we really want to get everything on track as quickly as possible. So we on our end do help navigate HR required paperwork, onboarding, and that like.
And so I can share a little bit more about that. And so we do have a mixed group on this call. So some people are affiliated with U of M and some are not. So if you're not affiliated with U of M, the paperwork will be processed through Michigan Works Southeast. And if you're through U of M, we work with shared services and talent acquisition to do temp hires. And so what this looks like for all employers, you know, we work with the young adults to fill out their I-9 forms, their work permits, and background checks if necessary. And then for, you know, U of M specific, you know, we do the M card, the password, U of M ID, getting their unique name and email access and all of that information. And then some things for you to think about though is, you know, what is your typical onboarding procedure? You'll still want to do that from like trainings and expectations focus, and also thinking about, you know, how do you integrate someone into your team? And so, you know, if you have a welcome event for new employees, or if you have a weekly team meeting, make sure that, you know, they are invited to those. And so typical onboarding procedures that you use. And so again, specifically for U of M hiring, you'll want to add them to your payroll group, and then also go over like time reporting procedures. We do that, but you know, usually it does take people a couple tries. Wolverine Access is not super easy to understand. And then if you have any like if you need more than a level 1 password or any specific building access, you'll want to get that processed. And then on the county side of things, so the requirements to be an employer through Michigan Works Southeast is one, basically to have labor laws posted as a, we can also provide them if you need them to be printed. And then we have a paid work experience agreement, which is through Michigan Works Southeast. And this is linked in the slides, but I'll also put it in here. But it just kind of outlines like the basic agreement. And so it's a basic contract of what's expected from your side and what's expected from our side. And so we just, need that, and then we can get them processed through our payroll. And so what that looks like, so if you are funding your internship, you will be invoiced from Michigan Works, but we will process them. Like, so we will handle payroll and they will be employees of Michigan Works. So you don't have to worry about adding them to your payroll system or any of that. And then you'll be invoiced 3 times. We do it monthly. So for all the hours in June, for all the hours in July, and all of the hours in August. And then for on the U of M side, we just ask for your short code and it'll be charged to your short code. So that is the general hiring outline. If you have any specific questions, I know like HR is one of the more complicated things. So does anyone have any questions about that right now? We can also come back to that if needed.
I'm sure we already have this figured out, but if there is, if we're using our short code, you guys will disperse the funds into the account if we were approved for the funding to help subsidize the students, right?
Yeah, and so if you're through U of M and receiving funding, we'll actually charge it to like our own short code, so you won't even have to worry about that.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. And then, so what this, now if you've heard all of this and you're still interested in participating, these are the next steps. And so we do have an application process. If you've been an employer before, it's the same as last year, but it's been different from years before that. And so the first step is an inquiry form, and this is really basic. It's just contact information and letting us know, hey, I do want to be an employer. And so it's linked here. And then once you fill that out, we will reach out to you to schedule an intake call. And so those take place over Zoom or phone call if that's more accessible for you. But we just kind of take a chance to talk to you, learn more about your department or your organization, what an intern might be doing. And during that call, we can go over an internship description and creating one, or that can be something that is done on your own, and then you can send it to us. It kind of just depends on your process if you like to work through things together or on your own. But essentially, the intake call is just a quick 30-minute call to go over the information that we need and take time to answer your questions and make sure that, you understand everything that you need to know. But in terms of the actual internship descriptions, I will turn it over to Tabitha.
Thank you, Kathleen. So, like we've alluded to, we really try and match interns with employers with a lot of intentionality for both sides. So we use these internship descriptions to give to the youth prior to requesting interviews with individual employers or organizations, just to give them an idea of some of the more nuances that folks were asking questions about, such as, is there a vaccination requirement? Is there a work from home component, or do I have to travel? Things like that, but also just more broadly, what are the opportunities available in this internship? And what Kathleen has up now is our internship description guide. And so these are just previous internship description information that we've collected from other employers from previous years that we felt just really were clear and exemplified what we would like to provide to the youth, just to get them oriented to your organization and what they can bring to it and what they can get from it. And again, kind of like what Kara was saying, you know, you may have an idea of what a perfect intern will be, but sometimes an intern will surprise you. They're really tricky, these young folks. They may show you a perspective you've never imagined. So this is just, again, a way for you to introduce yourself and your opportunity to these young folks. Any questions about this?
Yeah, my question is, where will this be posted?
So great question. There's a link in the chat, but they're also hyperlinked in the slides, which we're going to go ahead and email out to everybody. But if you ever have any problems finding any of the resources that we talked about, please don't hesitate to reach out directly to us via email. Like I said, we do try really hard to make all of these resources super available to folks. So we would hate for anyone to go without a question answered.
Okay, the students that will be applying for these jobs, we will be meeting them on May 9th.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And you guys, so we have to post our job, or you'll help us post it?
So
we
we'll
post
help
it.
with that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So basically what it looks like is we request this information and we put it together in this packet, and we're going to be organizing it by qualifications, because again, we know some organizations and employers are limited by age or vaccination status, the ability to travel, things like that. So we try and make sure that no one applies for your internship that just isn't able to participate for whatever reason. So yes, you'll be providing this, but we put it all together in a way that is delivered to the interns.
I know that you said that most of the students will be 16 to 18. Do we anticipate mostly high school students? Is that what we really are going to be engaging with?
Like Kathleen said, there is a bit of a mix. We do have a fair amount of high school students. It's kind of hard to predict what the program will look like year to year. We're still getting applications, but for example, last year we did have a lot of younger youth. That's because in 2021, so 2 years ago, we had a lot of young adults that were older and that had aged out of the program. So these things do fluctuate, and as soon as we know more, so what that demographic will look like, we're happy to provide more information about that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, and Kathleen, if you want to go over some key dates.
Yeah, and so we will be sending these out as well, but just to kind of note the first date of just letting us know that you do want to be an employer, that you're interested. The deadline for that inquiry form is March 19th. And then we do need the final job description, what we were just talking about, by April 9th. And then, as we mentioned before, we have an employer orientation, which we will have, that will be virtual. We will have 2 options, one an evening option and one a morning option. So the 19th or the 21st. And then, as we've mentioned before, the interview day, that is May 9th. And then we start professional development in person. Sorry, I'm talking about the wrong thing right now. But we do offer employer professional development. This is completely optional, but we talk about things like how to be an inclusive mentor, an inclusive leader working with young people. And so that's just, if that's an interest to you, we offer that, and those take place in early June. And then the employment period is June 12th through August 18th. And then lastly, the two bottom bullets are a midsummer event and an end of program celebration. And so, again, these are completely optional, but we just, obviously employers are a very important part of this program, and we like to celebrate you too. So we do have community events throughout the summer to bring together our young people. And so employers are always welcome at those. And, there's food and if you're interested in coming to either of those, they are on here as well. So that is the end of all the information that we have. We're here to answer questions now. And so if you want to stick around, but if you don't have any questions, that's the end of the content for today. But I just want to thank you all so much for being here and thank you for your interest. This program really does give young adults a unique opportunity for their first job experience, and it can really make all the difference in their lives. And so thank you for your interest, and we really hope you consider applying. So yeah, we'll stick around if there's questions.
The mentorship component is such that we do our best to try to match everyone that applies, but we cannot guarantee that everybody will receive a mentee. And we are switching over to primarily a group mentorship program this year. We had some mentors last year ask for a little more community around their mentorship. And also, I think that a group mentorship program will help kind of build rapport, kind of bring some of the youth participants that aren't as eager to talk, maybe, help get them comfortable with being with a mentor. Most of these people are being with mentors, meeting mentors for the first time. So it's kind of difficult to break the ice. And we think the group mentorship will help with that. So, but we can't guarantee a mentorship relationship for everyone. It kind of depends. We have so many great volunteers over the last couple of years. We try to prioritize those that have not been matched before. Of course, you'd be mentoring youth ages 16 to 24. So that's a really wide range of sensibilities from 16 to a 24-year-old. In fact, we could probably have some 24-year-olds be mentors themselves. It's a 10-week program. So then you would mentor you'd commit between June 12th and August 18th. It's dependent on the number of mentees we have. Of course, we want to match all of our participants with a mentor or a mentor group. But we want to have successful matches also, so that there's reciprocal value in those relationships. In terms of the commitment, we ask that you meet at least 30 minutes per week with your small group of mentees. There may be some one-on-one mentorships too. We're not sure, but we're encouraging everybody to participate in group mentorship this year. For 30 minutes at least. And we realize that sometimes that's not enough. And we've had mentor relationships where they met up to 3 hours per week. So we asked you to commit a minimum of 30 minutes. And it's really up to you. We ask that the mentorship takes place via a teleconference, so like a Zoom or something like that. Some of our participants are, especially maybe, I won't say the younger ones, but those that are not as comfortable being on camera may request to meet over the phone. So I think, like I said, that would just be between the mentor and the mentee, how they wanted to meet. We don't encourage meeting in person. Sometimes people have met at work sites, which is fine, other people around. For everybody's safety. Let's see, what else do I want you to know? with that meeting in person, there's we have children on campus rules to adhere to, and risk management has some rules around that. So before ever meeting in person, let's check in and make sure that everything is in accordance with those rules. This year, youth are going to be responsible for reporting back to us what they when and how long they met with their mentor. And we'll ask mentors to sign off on those meetings just so we can get a good gauge of how many hours are being invested in our mentorship program, and maybe even some of the content. We might like to know if they're talking about post-secondary education with their mentor, or if they have, if they found that they had the same career interests as their mentor. Those are the kind of things we like to know so that we can value the quality of those mentorship relationships too. So we'll ask that mentor sign off on the hours and maybe some of the content that the youth will report back to us. And also around some of that content, staff is we have our mentorship guides, and we've revised those this year to kind of help, maybe offer some prompts or a little, structure around those conversations, some things to help break the ice, some tips to help build rapport. And we're also available for support if there's an instance where you're just unsure what to do. So for instance, if a youth participant comes to you and shares some, some information where you think they might not be safe or anything like that, we never expect you to be able to handle that, or to expect that you know what to do with that. We definitely ask that you contact the youth's success coach or their career advisor. We don't want you to try to handle serious situations with the youth at all, and definitely not by yourself. Yep. So we're always here for support. We like to stay in close contact and have check-ins with you to see how your mentorship is going. If we can place some interventions on there to kind of facilitate that relationship, then we're happy to do that. But yeah, just I appreciate that you all would be relying on your experiences, whether they be personal, maybe you like baking and you might talk about that with your mentor, or you guys might connect over your animals, your pets, or anything like that. Anything's game. Just it's really important to us that we connect our youth with professionals that can speak to them in professional ways about personal and career and educational things. So building those networks is what we're trying to do. Yeah, so it's really up to you how you and your mentee decide to interact with one another for the most part. What if I was on mute that whole time? I'm just kidding.
You were not, I assure you. And you have such a pleasant voice, so don't worry about it.
Oh, you're so sweet. I appreciate that. This is my first info session. I'm really excited.
We can write an affidavit about that, if you'd like, about how well you did.
Wow, Miss Rosenway, I think I got the best group for my first info session, so I appreciate you.
Can we open up for like Q&A? Can I ask a question?
Yeah, you may, and then Jordan will continue with some more information.
Okay, so I guess one thing I had assumed that we would be mentoring the students about is their actual their internship, their job. We've all kind of been in internships where it's not really going exactly where we want to. how do we navigate some of the interesting elements of more of a professional job versus like waitressing or whatnot. So is that something we help mentor them as well on?
I absolutely.
Okay.
I trust your judgment and what you think would help the youth participant. And that is one area that's, it's a staple of the program. And that is one of the areas that they will be dealing with. A lot of these youth participants are having a first job for the first time. This internship will be their first time in a professional setting a lot of times. And there are things that they won't know, and they might come to you. They might come to their success coach. They might come to one of the staff members. So you're definitely a part of our team. They might talk to you about their professional development component. They might talk to you about their internship. They might say, I don't know how to, tell the SummerWorks staff that I can't keep up with all these demands, or I don't know, how should I let my boss know that I want to be more involved in this or that. So definitely that's a great area for you to mentor. But sometimes we do realize that sometimes the youth participants are so, inundated with work and responsibilities and things like that. Sometimes they might want to, you guys might decide that text is a good way to communicate. And so they might text you a funny meme or something, so it's definitely up to you. But that is one important area that we hope that you guys would touch base on. Thank you for that question.
I didn't realize there would be success coaches as well. Can you articulate the differences between, like, are they full-time success coach staff members, I assume?
So we hire, for the most part, temporary grad students to kind of guide the youth through the SummerWorks program as well. So that's, again, part of that network that we're building for them. The success coach will be probably your first line of contact. So that success coach will reach out to you and let you know, hey, if there's anything that concerns you or any questions you have about your mentorship, please reach out to me first. So that person is another is kind of in a mentorship position as well. And if you're in close contact with that success coach, then that's going to be even more beneficial to that youth participant.
So I have a question.
Yes, please.
You can just call me Merle because my last
Thank you.
name. Yeah, I knew you were happy about that. So not to toot my own horn, but I love mentoring. I mentor a lot. In fact, I have been mentoring somebody who's in the West Indies for 3 years, and so she's going to be coming to visit us. So I'm looking forward to that. But if we feel, is there an opportunity that the person we're mentoring feels like they want to continue contacting us? Do we ask one of the coaches, is this acceptable?
You can reach out to one of the coaches, but I can tell you right now that after the program is done, most mentor and mentee like to stay in touch with one another because you're now a reference for that person, and you can mentor that person for life if you choose. I wish I had you as a mentor.
Well, my mentee is coming up from the West Indies in May to visit us, and I'm really looking forward to showing her around, and I'm excited.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want you to have those ongoing relationships if you're both comfortable with that. Yes.
Thank you.
But the program won't be involved after the summer. Yeah. Thank you all. Such thoughtful questions. Anybody else before Jordan continues on with some information about background checks and things? Thank you, Jordan. I'll mute myself now.
All right. And we'll have time at the end too, and feel free to interject as well, any point along the way with any other questions. Um, so the next thing that we're going to go over is just children on campus compliance. So I apologize, this is a little bit drier portion. But essentially all of the mentors who become involved in our program are required to complete a background check, as well as then a children on campus training. So background checks are done, and says every 2 years, and all mentors require them. So if you work for or affiliated and you already have one in progress, then you would not need to like get that like redone. But if you have not, or it's like getting almost to your 2 years, we'll have to resubmit that. And it does take a little bit of time to get those processed. And so we usually try and initiate them like right as we get you into the program, and really get the ball rolling so that we can get you connected to your young adult, right away. And you guys can start having that hopefully great summer connection. So as I mentioned, those who are affiliated with the university might have completed this before, but anyone who is with can expect to receive an email from Higher Right regarding the background check. So keep an eye out for Higher Right, while anyone else who would be non-UM affiliated, we would need to send a copy, or you would send a copy of your driver's license and complete a form that would be sent to one of our partners. And we will make sure and get all of this out to you as well, and that you have these resources and instructions after the session. But we also, in conjunction with the background checks, have trainings called Children on Campus. And so this is required to work with young adults, and all mentors have to complete it. And it takes about 30 minutes. It's pretty quick. It goes through a couple different modules, and just kind of talks you through some different resources and how to safely interact with your young adult. So we'll send out this link, but that will be required before you can actually meet with your young adult. Both of these will. So we really encourage you to get these started sooner rather than later, because they are really important to the process. And if we have any issues, that might potentially, delay the timeline for you and your mentee, which we would not want at all. So, and if you have any questions or concerns with this process as you're like working through it, don't hesitate to reach out to us either. Ooh. So actually, yes. Okay. Sorry, my slides are in different order than I originally thought. So we will, if Leonie May is ready. Is she in here?
Yes. I'm in here, Jordan.
Okay. Perfect. Sorry, I was trying to expand the thing to see. So we actually have a past SummerWorks mentor with us, Leonie May, who works at Poverty Solutions. And so she has so wonderfully joined us today to speak a little bit about her experience, and just share, why she would encourage others to participate as a mentor. So Leonie May, I will hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan. So yes, working with SummerWorks and being a mentor was such a fantastic experience. It was my first year as well, so I wasn't exactly sure fully what what like how great the experience would be. But it definitely blew all of my expectations out of the water. It was a fantastic experience. Starting off with mentees, they being a mentor, as some of you may know, has such a great value both to yourself and to the mentees that you work with. To explain my experience with a little bit more detail, I signed up for 2 mentees, and I think that they were very different in how they needed to be mentored and the support that they needed. So one, I should introduce myself. My name is Liani May, Poverty Solutions. I'm a project manager, and a lot of the work I do is policy related or community program evaluation related. So there was one mentor who I could provide a lot of support in that sense. He was a rising freshman at U of M, wanted to understand law, policy, business, and I was able to give that person a lot of resources and support and guidance. And then I had another mentee who was a junior or a senior in college, and she wanted to be a hematologist, which was a lot more outside of my sphere of understanding. But both experiences were really great because it was really good to be able to provide a perspective that those young people in their lives may not have had, especially in a way that is so free from judgment or, the other types of contexts that they're, used to in their lives. So I remember I remember just feeling really good about like being there for so one of the concerns that I was worried about in mentoring, and Jordan or Mika, you can stop me if I'm just rambling too much, was that am I mentoring right? The purpose of this program is, from my understanding, coming into it for the first time, is that we're supposed to help young people with their professional development. So I had one student who was really all about that. It was really easy to talk to, felt very prepared for that. And then another student who Armika kind of mentioned, like some students don't necessarily want to talk all about that all of the time. And it took me that was an opportunity for me to kind of learn, like, how can I still be a mentor and still be valuable to this person in a way that I didn't see myself being valuable. So, or in that sense coming in. So it was a really good way to learn how to adjust your own mentoring style for the needs that somebody has. And there are times when I was concerned, like, am I doing this right? And I cannot stress how supportive that SummerWorks staff is and the success coaches are. They say that you can come to them with any questions at all. And I took them up on that, and they 100% stand by that. They answered all of my questions and concerns, like, am I doing this right? Like, what are the things that I need to consider? And they definitely reassured me. They provided me with not just, emails with guidance, they gave me whole documents, and they do that throughout actually the whole 10 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so really great opportunity to be valuable to other people, especially people who, you were once in their shoes, and it's a good reminder of where you kind of came from and how far you've come. It's great to be of value to somebody else, to give them the perspectives that maybe you wish you had when you were at that age and starting off your professional career. And it's great to be so supported by a team, just in case there's anything that you may not feel comfortable handling yourself. You're definitely not alone in this. So I hope that's a good description, a good pitch for why you should join.
That was wonderful. Yes. Thank you so much, Liani May, for sharing about your experience with SummerWorks. We really appreciate it. And I'm glad to have you back this year.
Very excited to be back.
So next, I am just going to go over some key dates quickly, and then I will stop blabbing your ear off and pass it back to Armika to wrap it up. But we have a handout. So as I mentioned earlier, these slides and all these like resources we will be sending out in an email kind of summary after. And so we have a handout with all of the dates and more information, but just some things to kind of keep an eye out on the horizon and to think about for the summer. So March 19th applications are due. And as I mentioned, once those are in, we'll get that background check process started pretty much immediately. And then we'll work on getting those children on campus trainings so that by the week of May 1st, you can actually be matched with your mentee, and we can begin that process. So what that looks like for us is kind of getting feedback from the youth on what their interests are, and kind of your guys' experience based on your application, and we make those group matches. And
can we answer a question from Merle?
Oh, yep. I'm so sorry. I didn't see your hand there, Merle.
Probably about one of the dates.
Hold on.
Oh,
After all these years, you'd think I remember to turn off the mute, right? How many years have we been doing this? So the children on campus, do you want us to wait, or can we do it right now? I mean, I being at the University of Michigan, I have the site up on one of my monitors, and I could go in, and I know I did this even before COVID. I was involved in this. I haven't been for that long ago. Is it okay for us to go in, or do you want us to wait to go in to do the training?
You can absolutely go in and do it whenever you'd like. Everyone should have access, kind of as Merle mentioned. It's available on the university website. So you can go ahead and complete that, right now, a couple weeks before May, pretty much whenever. So yeah, if you want to start it now, the only thing is at some like when we kind of revisit in May, all this, we will probably collect your certificate. But for those who aren't familiar with the system, you can easily access their certificate by just logging into the training portal and re-downloading it. So that is not too big of a concern as far as referencing back. I know that's something that myself I would probably lose otherwise storing somewhere. But yeah, so you are free to start those whenever, Merle. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. And actually, I agree with you, Jordan. I have actually bookmarked it and sent it to my email so I can find it. And I'm at the University of Michigan, but still.
There's just so much to keep track of these days. Awesome. So then after we make those matches and the beginning of May, we will have orientation. So we offer a couple different orientation sessions on the 17th or the 19th. And we'll also, my computer is really just loving me today. And we will also have an asynchronous option for mentors or individuals who have participated in the past. And if you're unable to attend, we can also coordinate something there. So the times will be on the handout that we provide, but on the 17th, we have a morning session from 9 to 10:30 a.m. And then on the 19th, we have an evening session from 5:30 to 7. So we have kind of both times of day. So hopefully that will work. But as I mentioned, if not, we'll have other options available. And then at the end of May, early June, that's when we will help you make introductions with your mentees. And really get the ball rolling on those meetings and summer, programming on our end. And then we will have an optional professional development session for employers and mentors in early June. So we do this, we've done this last couple of years. We just like to provide you all with an opportunity to continue growing and developing with us and the young adults as well. And it's also, just an opportunity to kind of meet and engage with other mentors and employers in the program. And then on June 6th or 8th, there will be mentorship kickoff. So you can attend either. There's 2 sessions, and this will kind of be determined as well by, when your mentees can go and kind of how you want to align with that. So you only, we encourage you to attend one, but if you have numerous mentees and would like to attend both, you're more than welcome. And then actual mentorship period starts on June 12th and goes through August 18th. And then just as a program, we have a midsummer event on July 12th. And so this is where we invite everyone, employers, mentors, young adults, partners, to just come out and, spend time together and kind of celebrate the fact that we have made it, halfway through the program, work together on, anything that they might want to discuss. I think this last year there was some conversations about different things. I know in one instance, between a young adult and their mentor, that they had conversations about things that, they wanted to work on and continue. I am so sorry. My computer is really glitching out on me today. That they wanted to, continue working on and kind of grow. So, it's also just a fun opportunity to meet them in person if you want and have those conversations. But we definitely encourage you to keep an eye out for that on your calendar. And then August 17th, end of program celebration. So that is when we will wrap everything up. And just recognize all of our wonderful participants and mentors and employers for the work that they've done. And we will have lots of yummy food and snacks at both of these events as well, and games and activities, plus our bright shining faces, which I always say is a perk. It might be more scary than anything else, but selling point there. So I'm going to, does anyone else have any questions about key dates before I pass it back off to Armika? Okay, awesome. Then I will give it to you, Armika.
So I was answering before I continue these burning questions in the chat. Other success coaches from other schools in Washtenaw County, yes, EMU applies, Concordia, WCCC, they're all able to apply to be a success coach. So it's not just U of M students that apply for that. And then also, how do students learn and sign up? How do they learn about the program, and how do they sign up for the program? Do they contact Michigan Works? So we reach out to the students directly, or through their schools, or through their churches or clubs. We hang flyers and word of mouth, peer-to-peer kind of recruitment. Michigan Works does some recruitment. U of M does some recruitment to reach out directly to the potential participants, and everybody applies on the website, summerworks.info. So all the applications go through there. So it's a digital application, I think, all the time. And then Emily had a question. Oh, I answered that one. And then, are there typically more mentors than mentees? Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have a lot of mentor applicants, and so we might have 75 or 100 folks apply to be mentors, and we're switching to the group mentorship this year, and we might have 100 or 150 youth participants. So if you are not matched with a mentee, what are some of the other ways you could support SummerWorks? You could share the word. You could spread the word about SummerWorks. You might know somebody that is responsible for hiring, or somebody that can employ one of our internships. I do think that's where we have the most need is for folks to provide internships for our youth, up to 20 hours per week. But also professional development sessions. We have people volunteer to come in and speak about their jobs, the day-to-day details of those, special topics like building a spreadsheet with a budget, a personal budget on Excel or something like that. They might come in and talk about digital banking with our youth participants during our professional development session. So that's another way to support. And is there anything I'm forgetting? Yeah, so and then there's always, if you applied and you didn't get matched, we encourage you to apply, the following year, because we do try to prioritize those that have not had the mentorship experience yet, so that they can see how fulfilling that is, and also share different kinds of work experiences with our youth. So there's always better luck next year, so to speak, but I appreciate the question. All right, so I don't mind if we get through all of the information we need to provide. Of course, leave whenever you need to get to your next meetings, or if you have the information you need and you don't need to stick around anymore, you won't hurt my feelings if you drop off the call. But if we get through the information that we need to impart, then we're not going to try to keep you on any longer than we need to. So some of the stuff and that we planned on covering, you all answered in you all asked, so you're a little bit ahead of us. So I was going to ask, I never had a mentor. So has anybody here had a mentor themselves when they were transitioning to, say, adult life and career? Let me see if I can see everybody. Show of hands. Anybody had a mentor? No one here had a mentor. Not even you, Jordan? Oh, who's that?
Merle. I don't know if it was really, you could say a mentor, but I sort of pushed at people when I got my master's degree, which I was interested in this field. Mm-hmm. And then when I got a position, luckily got a position, and then I would just approach people who I knew had been here for a long time, and so I just forced them to mentor me. It sounds terrible, but to me, that's the best mentorship, is when you get your position. It's no matter how many courses you take or anything, it's on site. It's when you actually are doing the job. You can have a class that tells you this is what is involved, but until you're working, that's when you really, maybe I'm being nasty about this or politically incorrect, which I'm really known for. This is where you really, on site. And I think that that's the best part of mentorship, is being at the job and then finding people who are willing to talk to you and tell you what you're doing and what you're doing incorrectly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so along those lines, I shouldn't say I haven't had a mentor, because I do kind of force people to kind of help me find the pathways and things like that, but no official mentor. So I wonder, Merle, if you could say what kind of, or what was the best advice or best conversation even that you had from a mentor. What is something that a mentor provided for you that still sticks with you? Does anything come to mind?
Yeah, I think it's, especially if you're a new employee and in a field that you may not be comfortable with, or you are, but you didn't expect it to be the way it was when you applied for the position. I think that just forge ahead. And I guess to me, what's important is people poo-poo about talking about failure. I think failure is the way you learn, and you don't have to announce it, but you go to someone in the position that you respect in your job and say, I did this and it didn't work. Can you tell me what didn't work and how I can make it work next time? And I think failure is our best learning experience in many respects. That's my
That's a great lesson that I would like to that our youth participants might not get, from their friends or from their teachers that are grading them and things like that. So I think that's an important thing that we're not always able to communicate to the youth when they're wondering why would I want a mentor. We also see that grades improve with mentorship. Like you said, the confidence of just building that network of somebody that will listen to you about your fears and about your when you're insecure about something. So yeah, I really appreciate everybody who is willing to mentor someone, especially from our demographics that we serve at SummerWorks. And we've already said that, your mentorship relationship is kind of what you make it. Sometimes we encourage a contract between, not anything formal where you have to have your signature, but, asking the youth, what would you like to talk about? Or what would you absolutely not like to talk about? What would make you completely uncomfortable? How long would you like to meet? Would you like to meet, via text, phone, video? Or would you like to only meet 30 minutes to start or an hour to start per week? Or so, yeah, just getting a good, being on the same page as that mentor and that mentee, that sets a good foundation for a good mentor relationship, I think. So then Jordan, I would pass it back over to you. I think we covered a lot of what you have left. I don't know if you want to talk about the orientation or how the matches are made or the round table. But the floor, sorry, the floor is yours. I'll let you wrap up too, as when you're done with anything you have to share. And thanks everybody. It was great meeting you, Merle. Thank you, Connie, for being here. Thanks as always, Leonie Mae.
So before we kind of finish, we just want to highlight some things that we have for you as mentors. So first and foremost, we have program staff. So we've mentioned the success coaches, but we also have Armika and Kathleen and myself and Tabitha and many other wonderful partners and people who can kind of help. So we really encourage you to, utilize us and don't be afraid to ask us questions, come to us, that's what we're here for. And we're really meant to be a tool and, a support system for you as well. We send out newsletters. So one of our success coaches is in charge of this, and they just, kind of type up everything that's been going on and resources and things. So you kind of get a snapshot and are able to access everything that's going on in the program. And then, as I mentioned, we have orientation. So the 17th and the 19th, these dates will be sent out to you again. But we will also have an asynchronous option if you're unable to attend. So please reach out and just let us know so we can get that coordinated for you. And then this will be it's linked in the slides and will be shared with you all. But we actually have a mentorship guide that we've put together. And so this really just highlights kind of, again, a lot of what we've talked about. about the structure, what we are hoping to, provide the youth through this, the benefits of it, potential resources, discussion topics, kind of some more insight into what SummerWorks is doing. So it's really just kind of like a comprehensive little handout for you. So definitely check that out. And if you have any questions about anything in there, or want to talk more, let us know. And then we have mentor roundtables. So we invite all of our mentors to get together at least once during the summer, if not twice, to just discuss what's been going well, things that they might be struggling with. Really just a chance to connect and continue developing those relationships and hopefully, improving the way we mentor and serve these young adults. And then lastly, one-on-one check-ins. So we offer in June and July the point for our mentors to have a one-on-one sit down, and we just kind of go through a set of different questions where we, see if there's anything we can do to help you based on, how it's been going, where it's been going. And these ones are structured, but we're always, like I mentioned earlier, we're always available and happy to meet and hear for you. So these ones are just kind of, more like program milestones. So that way we can, touch base on those things going on. But that is kind of everything that we have going on and all of our resources. And the ways that we kind of plan to run things this summer. Like Armika mentioned, this is something that we're continuing to build out and just started a couple of years ago. So we're excited to have so much interest and involvement from wonderful professionals such as yourself. And we really hope that, you continue and become a mentor, maybe even someday an employer, and alumni, if you will, alumnus, past participant of SummerWorks. We love having so many people come through with such different experiences and insights, and we appreciate the ways that you guys help us run the program. We really couldn't do it without wonderful mentors such as yourself. So we appreciate your interest. Armika and I will stick around a little bit if you have any questions or just want to chat. But otherwise, as I think I've said like 100 times, I feel like I am like gonna annoy you all, but we will be sending everything out. So all of this will get shared with you. And if after reviewing it, you have more questions, want to connect, talk, just let one of us know.